Hello, welcome to this Campfire Dream Bytes. Today with Cassia and Anne and I. We're going to begin with a little attunement. Begin by just closing our eyes if it's comfortable, drop into the inner space and allow the breath to deepen just a little bit. Just by noticing and giving it some attention. The breath can bring us back into the body. Feel the movement of the inhalation and the exhalation. Feel that mental energy, the thoughts and words, the feelings, also just kind of sinking down into the belly. If we can locate them in the head and heart, let's just allow those to sort of sit together in the belly. Then you may find yourself taking a long, slow inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you pause, just feel the space, feel the peace, and imagine yourself in a place in nature, using that mental faculty of imagination. Imagine yourself walking somewhere through the trees with your heart. Imagine the feeling of an experience of walking in the trees. Know the sounds of the wind and the water flowing nearby. Feeling of the earth under your feet. Feel the gravity on your body through your feet. Maybe if you're sitting, let's just allow ourselves to sink a little bit deeper into the earth while we walk down this path. And imagine that we come to a clearing by a fire. So we've got this fire burning that we're moving towards. And in your own way, at your own pace, find your place by the fire. If you're here with me now in real time, or if you're listening, there's a place by the fire just for you. And we can feel the warmth of the fire, this transformational, warming radiance of the fire as it burns. It crackles and pops, turning this wood into fumes, into heat. And around the fire, there's a circle of stones. So give thanks for the stones, their grounded presence, silent stones, the spirit of the minerals. We find ourselves in a clearing in the trees, so we are in a circle of trees, a place of safety and care. We give thanks for the trees and the plants and all their gifts. And we invite the animals, the spirit of the animals, any animals that wish to be here. We give thanks for the animals as well. And for all who come here, we have an invitation today to the animals that rise up, whatever that may be or feel or respond. Let's just feel that invitation and just let that go and come back around the fire and feel the fire warming us. See the sparks from the fire and see one of the sparks from the fire rise up from those golden flames, those blue-tipped flames. A spark from the fire rises up, and one of those sparks lands at the center of your chest. Perhaps it rises up like a bird or like the squirrel moving up the tree very quickly, or perhaps it's very slowly. It lands there at the center of the chest, and we can just feel the warming sensation there that connects us and offers a little relaxation and solace and upliftment. And so let's just let those images go and invite the storytelling in our small gathering to unfold.
I think I'll jump in then. The animals that rise up, I was like, where do I want to go with this? And I decided that what I really wanted to do was just to pick one animal from each of the keys of the dream arc. So in the dream arc, we have the Richard Rudd takes the shadow, the gift, and the city of the gene keys and renames them into fear keys, which are the underworld and the creepy crawlies, and then the life keys that are the mammals, and vision keys that are birds. So I decided to consider one creature that rises up from each of those keys for today. And so just as David was talking, though, I really, for me, the animals rising up, I always see these flocks of birds, like say at the beach, and then they suddenly take off all together, and you hear the wings flapping, and just that whole movement energy of kind of the birds surging ahead and rising up together. And I mean, that is such a good wish for this time of year as we move into a new year and all the new beginnings that are coming ahead. So the first key I chose was Cobra as a fear key. And that's very appropriate because the 54th gene key, which Cobra belongs in, is receiving the light of the sun right now. So I was really thinking about Cobra, and it asks us to contemplate the fear of not awakening, a fear of not reaching our highest potential. Cobra rests in coils and then rises up. It can rise up as high to the height of a man. And I've never actually seen a cobra, but like that vision is like incredible. It was associated, it is associated with the Kundalini energy coiled at the base of our spine, which rises up with specific practices. And from the dream arc, Cobra, it says, Cobra inspires us to reach for more, to intensify our spiritual practice. And that just really reminds me of how in the New Year's we all make these plans and goals and things like that, whether they're right or wrong, who knows? But there we are. So, we'll see, everybody can think about what is your spiritual practice and how could Cobra help that in all its other dimensions and things. And then I chose, for a life key, I chose Whale, which is Gene Key 48, and it's all encompassing resourcefulness. And the whale rises from the depths of the ocean, and it comes up with incredible force and majesty as it breaches and blows at the surface. And as they rise up, they actually mix the layers of the water column and create a really healthy stirring for all the ocean creatures and the nutrients in the ocean. So it's just one of their many ways that they contribute to our world. And the whale says in the dream arc, follow me into the depths of your own body, and I will show you how to love your wounds so that they release you in clouds of bubbles to the surface of a new world. We dive deep to know the wound, but we do not stay down there in the misery and pain. We come to the surface for joy and air and to remember we are not alone. Again, thought that was a really good message for the new year that, taking some time for yourself and diving into your depths and seeing what you find in your interior world, but always remembering to come back into the outer world that we live in on this earth plane. So that was some of what Whale had to say to me. And then I chose Eagle for a vision key. And Eagle is Gene Key 63 and holds the vision of the vow of truth. I chose Eagle because one flew by the other day as I was getting into the car, and it was really quite low, which is surprising, and its white head and tail really shone in the blue sky, and it was such a pleasure to see them because it's sort of been winter and they're not out and about it quite as much, it seems. So Eagle rises up on the air currents and the swirling in great circles. up and up and up and up. And I've watched them from a beach, and I try to keep spotting them as they travel so high up into the air, and you lose them, and then you might see them just as a pinpoint. And they're so eagles fascinate me, and their spiraling upward climb reminds me from the dream arc. So eagle represents the highest aspirations of all human beings, to become one with the divine and to see, hear, and breathe the divine essence. So eagle reminds us that aspirations, which is actually the gift of the 54th gene key that is active right now. I also noticed when I was outside the other day how the plant kingdom is also rising up in my garden, which is really wonderful. Here in Victoria, we do garden. The gardens are active most of the year. So right now the snowdrops are blooming and a hellebore is coming up. It's poking up with their blossoms still tightly wrapped up, but giving signs of wonders to come, and in some sheltered areas. And so it's beautiful to see. And when I see the plants coming, it just fills me with hope and joy, and knowing that spring is going to arrive, and just to be patient. And so that's what always brings me joy. So as we enter the year of 2026, and I know there's many moments that people would say the new year begins, and I personally like just to celebrate them all. And may we all rise up with love for ourselves and all others that are here with us. And may we be inspired to use our spiritual practices to rise up in joy, oneness with everything, and to touch our divine essence.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Anne, so much. I love how you three different categories, three different animals came to you. And what a great start for the year for us, the messages. And for me, it's actually interesting because I had two different beings coming to me. And first one was very clear. It was the meerkats, because they rise, and I love our play here with that, because I was wondering who is going to bring which animal, and there's so many already and different. I mean, whale, it's like, wow, exactly like that mass is coming out of the surface. It's a play for imagination even when you haven't seen one in life. So yes, it's wonderful. For me, it's very playful to even approach this category. And mine, for me, the meerkats were coming to me. Like I haven't even checked which jinky actually they belong to. So I'm sorry. Probably whoever's curious might check it later. But basically for me it was like whenever I tune in into the category or rise up animal, the meerkat came to me, like, because they're so incredible, little creature, and they actually have a whole community cooperating together, communicating together. And it's incredible how one actually is always on the guard. So one is standing in the highest point to check the surroundings for predators, but they also have a different call for different type of predators. So they might have a different call for the ones in the air, like the birds of predators, and the ones different calls for warning calls for the rest of the family, for the ones on the ground, or even for the distance, whether it's far or close. So that's in itself is amazing. And there's always one meerkat designated as a role of a guard for everyone else. And he or she is constantly humming like a very low sort of signal or sound to the rest of them when everything is clear. And when obviously there is some danger, they use different but quite more high pitch apparently sounds to warn the rest, which for me is like, and that's what it's been said about meerkats, that they have this incredibly like complex sort of communication, and they're very family sort of important animals. So they raise their little ones together. Even the ones that don't have little ones at that point, they would feed the other ones. You know, it's just like absolute communal atmosphere within this group of animals. So that's fascinating. But also, it's just reminded me of the connection to our nervous system. You know, when everything is fine, we hum. We use a very low sounds, you know, like to even calm ourselves down, to activate the vagus nerve. We hum or we sing. And when something is when we are alerted, we use this high pitch sounds, which is kind of mirroring the meerkats way. And I'm just amazed again and again and again, the beauty of nature, the beauty of us as part of the nature, and how connected we all are within all this. So this is the first animal that came, and I love them that they keep popping up in the last over a week or so, like a little meerkat in my imagination. I was like, okay, yes, I'll bring you to the story for sure. And just today, I don't know why I was just called to play with the DreamArc Oracle, which is this wonderful space where you can on the DreamArc website just click on the oracle and ask a question beforehand or think about is whatever you want to have an answer to, and then click on the button and the animal pops up for you. And for me, and I asked a question, I was like, which animal would like to come for the raise up category of animals? And lo and behold, there was a wasp, which is interesting because this is Jinky 40, which is my life's work, which is quite interesting. I was just like, again, because wasps keeps coming to me. And I do feel it like it does like raise up for me, but it's in a very different way. It's a very sort of hovery almost sensation when I think of wasp. And when I think of wasp, I also think of the time when I was very little and I got stung by wasp. I think it was the only time, as far as I remember. Maybe a couple of times actually. Because as a children you just run barefoot on, and there's so many fruits in the summer, and there always were some wasps around. And I remember I stepped on one and it just stung me in my heel. And I remember my mom sucked the venom very quickly and spit it out. Like that was her instinct. And I now, as I remember this, I just thought, what an incredible, like, mother feminine intuition she had just to do it straight away. She didn't read it, she didn't Google it because there wasn't any phones back then. She just used her wonderful, amazing wisdom, which my mom got from ancestor lines, I guess, passed on, or even not. There was some innate wisdom that she just followed straight out. And I was watching her. I remember that scene, and I was just like, "This is fascinating." It really hurt. It was the sting was very painful, and then we used some white vinegar on it again, like some lovely remedies that are known that we do use for this sort of situation. And the wasp is fascinating because we actually fear wasp a lot, probably for that reason, because it hurts when it stings you and initiates you into something. And within the dream arc, the wasp is the fear of meeting boundaries. And for me, the wasp is very much about the firm yes and the firm no's, the ones that makes you, when to work, when to rest. It's like very... there's a lot of talk about the sword, the sting is like like a sword, and our sword is there to be used. So in the dream arc, Richard says, don't allow it to get rusty. Now and then you have to pull out your sword and firmly mark your boundaries, and not to be afraid of doing that as well. So that's something that I definitely see in my life a lot. Probably being my life's work, as much as just in general. I feel like we all are being called to do that a lot. To really honor our boundaries in many different ways, without being too harsh or too aggressive with it, but also allowing the softness. It's the whole yin and yang, the game of that. So for me, the wasp is representing that, and I love it. I love that invitation for balance. You know, like always invitation for balance. And just to remember that, like, wasp kill for food or for protection only. So me, as a little girl, obviously stepping on her, she was just protecting herself. So it wasn't anything that she was doing, like, or he, whether it was she or he, maliciously. It was just for protection. And the last thing I would love to, very quick, but it's in the dream arc under the category of wasp, which I thought it was such a lovely also invitation for these times, because 2025 was quite intense, and 2026 it's very it feels like fascinating year for me personally, like energetically, and from what I've heard and read and came across, it's going to be very interesting year for all of us. And it's just, there was this beautiful fragment that Richard shared with us under WASP category. This fragment comes from Seven Sacred Seals, which is very, very mystical, beautiful teaching of its own, actually, within the Gene Keys. And it says this. We have traveled for so long through the wilderness, through the wasteland, through the endless winters of consciousness. We are tired, we are worn to the bone. There is nothing left in us. All of a sudden, in the darkness and the cold gloom, we see a tiny light far off, a beacon of warmth, a flame of hope. This is the tiny ember of incandescence. It can never be extinguished. We learn now to fan the ember, to place the tinder of our love around it. And so it grows, and as it grows, so our hearts are rekindled. Hope dawns, faith returns, love pours back through our bodies. So I will leave you with that. And yeah, let's fan this beautiful spark of amber of our hearts for this year. And thank you.
I love that. I love that you both shared. Thank you for your shares and for the weavings that I can feel. And I hope that anyone listening can lean into that and feel it too. I was also feeling these sort of interweavings of connections with the essence of gene keys, and we have come together kind of in honor of the dream arc transmission, which is so closely intertwined. And in the, in the basics, the essence, there's this idea of raising the frequency, right? Raising the frequency of our DNA, and what that means to the mind and what that means to the emotion and what that means to the body may be different experiences, But it's so interesting to contemplate. One of you mentioned, I was not sure what animal would be called in, or so many possibilities. I mean, I've got the hummingbirds outside that will just be hovering, and all of a sudden they can just go straight up. They can go any direction, Or noticing in my backyard, like I say, the squirrels have been loving the eating the bird food off of the suet feeder, and I've got it hanging by a rope to try to help keep it safe for the birds. But they're determined. They'll hang upside down, and then when they see me, they'll be like immediately up the tree. So there's so much energy of potential there. But what I was really feeling into, it turned out, was that energy of the transit we're in now, this 54, where we have, as Anne mentioned, the cobra at the base and the skylark in this vision of unending ascension. And the skylark, synchronistically, actually was one of the theme animals, or the guardian animals, of one of our dream arc retreats in past years. And when I started to feel into it, this was just sort of came to me in my semi-conscious state this morning, that was the primary animal here. But then when I started thinking about the break, we had this New Year's, and the day before New Year's Eve day, my wife and I like to go for a hike. So we went for a hike, and we went kind of in the deep woods where it was really quiet and just a little bit frosty. Here in in Oregon, it's just getting a little bit of frost. And at some point, I did hear a little cheeping sound, and I realized, it was a wren. But I turned on my Merlin app, which can identify from the sound just to verify, right? And sure enough, there was a wren, and it also at some point picked up a lark, some type of a western lark. And I didn't really snap to it and connect with the skylark. But what I love about the energy of the skylark, what I want to focus on is there's a call to, in the experience of upliftment, let's just call it, or ascension or rising, when the thought and feeling and emotion come together to give the spirit a rising, it's actually a call to deeper grounding in a sense. So uh, I'm going to share just the first paragraph of the Skylark because I think it embodies the essence of it. Skylark being in the category of journeyers and coming from that place of, um, the fear of not ascending that the cobra represents. Skylark says, I am Skylark, a tiny fragment of God's heart am I. Come outside on a clear summer's day and listen to my heavenly song. My people have been persecuted for centuries on account of the beauty and truth hidden in our song. Therefore, I carry a karmic burden that you must pass through if you wish to access such higher currents of heavenly joyousness. Here then is my challenge to you. Take the most challenging thing in your life or in this world, and out of it make a thing of beauty. So there's this essence of, and there's another line here, in the deepest suffering lies the greatest revelation of holy ecstasy. And so there's this challenge to take this, this inspirational spark that's somewhere inside me, that's somewhere inside each of us, and actually apply it in the world in the most nitty gritty, deepest, darkest place, And there's also reference to this in some of the teachings of the 54. And at the same time, um, I'll just share um, a little bit of reflection on the wren, because the wren in relation to the keys is sitting in my pearl, which is a 61-6. And the wren in the mythos, in the story, uh, there was a challenge of who could fly the highest. And of course, the eagle, who Anne mentioned, is this powerful bird that said, yes, I can fly the highest. I'm going to head straight towards the sun. And the story goes that the wren hid inside the eagle's wings, hid somewhere on his back. And then when the eagle was just about to give up, had gone as far as he could go, the wren popped up and went a little bit higher and said, "Ha ha, I win." So there's like a little trick in this story. And in the trick, I'm going to share, this is also a special day for some of us who are engaging in the Sage's Golden Path retreat, to honor the source and honor the transmission. And there's a new sort of layer being added here of a gift of the Sage lines that have been uh, transmitted or created by Richard Rudd. And so I was fortunate to receive the Sage line for this 61-6. And I just want to share it for the synchronicity, not the whole thing, but the sutra. The name of the sutra is The Roots of the Ordinary. And if you're familiar with the gene keys, you'll know the sixth line is sort of like the above it all visionary type. So there's a bit of paradox here. The roots of the ordinary says, as your spiritual practice deepens and the inner light begins to shower your nights and days, the importance of the ordinary rises to the fore, the ordinary rising to the fore. For only the deepest of roots can cool the ardent fires of awakening. And of course, there's a lot of depth and beauty in these, and I'm not going to read the whole contemplation here, but this image of, this the wren being this vision of holy initiation, the holy of holies, being a reminder to just stay grounded and bring it down to earth is it speaks to me um, volumes of both um, my opportunity and my gift and the challenge that is presented in that, to take these moments that come up in whether it be in relationship or um, with material concerns or health concerns and actually, you know, face them head on with all the both with the spiritual practice that's already been established and also to refine and redefine those, which is what I'm glad you brought up the cobra because there's really a call to me in this particular snake energy of being very specific, like, okay, I have this higher ideal. How can I bring it down to earth? So it's sort of this recurring theme. And since you brought up the snake, and there's five snakes in the dream arc that are also wonderful. I just want to honor the year of the snake that we are in the ending of the Chinese year, you know, moving towards a new year. And a lot of people are focusing now on this, the fire horse, which is such a beautiful image. And for me, I just really want to honor the snake energy of what needs to be shed still. You know, what really is what really is there for me that is ready to let go, because so much of rising up has to do with letting go of some of these old burdens that I've carried. So that's what I've got for today. Thank you so much for being here.